Okay, Vikings Saints. As if London hasn't gone through enough recently, they get Andy Dalton as the starting quarterback for the Saints. How do we even handicap this game? Like, how do we even start, right? I guess we'll start with DVOA. I guess we'll just start with the numbers, and then we'll break it down from there as far as what we're going to expect and what I would do. It's hard to do this because of the injuries, all right? It's hard to do this. So Andy Dalton is the big name injury because it's a quarterback change. But Michael Thomas is also out, which is huge. Andrews Pete's out. There's injuries all over the shop. So the Saints are in a really bad spot. On top of Kamara being questionable, we don't know how healthy he is. So a lot of these numbers don't matter because of the personnel. But we'll just look at the numbers anyway. So let's go ahead and straight up look at defense here. So straight up defensively, New Orleans ranks above average. So they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, the number is here. I was just showing off my counting for no reason. Minnesota's 25. So Minnesota's defense has struggled. All right, now that does take into account, you got to remember they played Philadelphia. So Philadelphia slapped that ass, and the Saints have played some pretty low-scoring games. The Saints' defense has been playing well, though. I will say that. All right, so let's go to pass defense. Saints are 10, and Minnesota is 25. No, this is total. Okay, so Saints are... Man, these numbers are killing me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the Saints are 11, and Minnesota is below average. Rush defense, we know the Saints are good. Now, this is where, the Saints have dropped off a little bit. Saints are here. Minnesota's defense has been terrible. All right, so Minnesota's defense has not been good at all. Let's try and go to the offensive DVOA. Now, this is where it won't matter for the Saints because of the new personnel, but we'll check it anyways. Minnesota, average, a little above average. Saints, below average. We already knew that. Passing offense, Minnesota, we'll say bang average. Rush offense, they are below average. Dalton Cook has been hurt. So where's Minnesota? Man, this is embarrassing tracking all this. They're 3. Okay, Jesus. All right, so they're 3. All right, so that's how that looks, right? So let's go to the actual game cast here. So the injury situation is really what we got to talk about. All right, so Marcus May out, Jarvis Landry questionable, Andres Pete out, Kamara questionable, Winston not playing, Thomas out. That is a lot. Okay, that's huge. So let's address Andy Dalton first. I don't think there's much of a drop-off, or really any drop-off, in Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston for a game. People overreact a lot to injuries. I don't think Winston Dalton is much different at all. A little bit of a different play style, but I wouldn't put too much on that. I think you're going to see pretty much the same. Now, Michael Thomas being out is a huge deal, and Kamara still being questionable is a huge deal, because if Thomas and Kamara are out, then the offense and Landry is hobbled, then it's Chris Olave versus the world. Defensively, Marcus May, is out, and Pete out hurts as well. You never want your lineman to be out when you have a new quarterback and stuff like that. So what I would do from a gambling perspective is I would look, and I have looked, I bet the Vikings -3. I bet the Vikings -3 right when the injury news came out, because I think that will move. I think towards game time, we'll see the Saints +3.5, maybe even the Saints +4, depending on as more information comes out. I think the Vikings are a better team. No doubt about it. I thought the Saints were, if they were fully healthy, I thought the Saints were an intriguing underdog. I thought they possibly could be worth a look, because they've played some tough games. They need a win. They're coming off of a loss. Blah blah blah. This could be good for them. Especially if people got healthy. LOL. So I was looking at the Saints, and if it got to 3 with a healthy New Orleans, I was planning on maybe getting a slice of that pie. The pie is not there anymore. The pie has been Miss London pie. So on the flip side, I'm taking the Vikings. I think I understand the situational spot. I understand the Saints need to win. I understand they're coming off of a loss. But I cannot lose the fact that the better coaches in Minnesota, the better quarterbacks in Minnesota, the better offensive weapons are in Minnesota. Minnesota is projected to be the better team. Like on a neutral, you got to remember too, like this isn't counting in the home field advantage. So this is a neutral Vikings -3, which they're telling you they think the Vikings are a lot better than the Saints. And right now, I kind of agree. So I did that. I would look at the under if I was playing the total. I think London trips tend to be unders anyways, especially with these two teams. I mean, you're talking about Minnesota, who, you know, I don't think they're lighting the world on fire. Marshawn Lattimore, great cornerback, could hold Justin Jefferson again. You know, without that, is Minnesota going to go out there and hang 40? Probably not. Saints, even if the Vikings do hold 40, will the Saints put up enough to bust her over? So I think that the Saints will probably have an incredibly generic, incredibly run-heavy offense. Player prop, the only prop that I would look at playing is Alvin Kamara. If he plays, or if he's healthy, his reception prop over. I'm assuming it'll be somewhere in the 4 range, 4.5. It's been trending at like 3.5. Numbers wise, it'll probably be at that 3.5. They may push it a little higher because of the circumstances, so it may be in that 4-ish world. But I figure, I don't think there's any way that he plays and the Saints don't just constantly dump him the ball. Like, Andy Dalton is going to be so conservative. If he throws a pass over 15 yards, I'd be very surprised. It's going to be all in. It's going to be all crossing routes. It's going to be all super shallow. And I think Kamara could be the recipient of a lot of those, like 1-read, 2-read Kamara. 1-read, 2-read, dump pass, check off, screens, stuff like that. So that's the betting side of things. Now, from the actual game side of things, from the fan side of things, from the Nyalin side of things, what I'm looking for, it's so simple. I'm looking for one thing and one thing only. I'm looking for Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael to get this offense moving. Now, you're going to say, Jameis Winston's out. Michael Thomas is out. How are they going to get the offense moving? I understand that. I don't mean score 50 points. I mean, show me something. Show me something creative. Show me Taysom Hill getting involved. Show me Alvin Kamara being a huge part of the offense, passing-wise, running-wise. Do not just show me Alvin Kamara up the middle. Do not just show me run play number 1 up the gut. Okay, now let's go to run play number 2 up the gut. Do not do that. Let's not just have the 10 plays we're going to run before the game and run them all through the game. I want to see adjustments. I want to see creativity. I want to see players coming in and out. I want to see Dalton running a scheme. I want to see him getting out there and a very easy to visualize scheme, like a strategy, something we plan, something new, something innovative. I don't want to see just I formation, run the ball, play action, slant route. I don't want to see that. I need to see Kamara moved around. I need to see him in the slot. I need to see him at halfback. I need to see him out wide. I need to see Taysom moved around at halfback, in the slot, playing quarterback, in motion. I need to see all that kind of stuff. Innovative packages. I want to see Taysom, Ingram, and Kamara on the field at the same time. Give it to me. This is the game. I don't want to say this is the season, but this is where you have to get right. I understand, again, the injuries. So even if we don't come out with a win, I need to see more than having 3 points or 0 points going into the fourth quarter and then having a fourth quarter where you kind of pump the numbers up a little bit and look good. I need to see something else. I need to see something. I'm more concerned with the coaching staff than I am with the personnel. So that's why I'm not really concerned about the people being hurt, because I don't care who's on the field. I just want to see different plays. I want to see a different mindset, a different philosophy, a different scheme. That's what I want Allen to deliver. That's what I want Carmichael to deliver. I believe I heard this correctly today. I believe Dennis Allen is like 9-30 as a head coach in the NFL. I understand that people are focused on Jameis Winston. I totally get that. But I'm so focused on this coaching staff. And let me give you a little conspiracy theory. I was talking to somebody today about this. Sean Payton wanted a year off. Everyone knows that. Sean Payton wanted to have some time away from football. He got it. I think Mickey Loomis This is all from my brain. I think Mickey Loomis saw this season and said, you know what? Let's not do anything crazy. Let's not go make a huge coaching change. Let's not interview people. Let's not bring in a whole new staff. Let's wait a year. Because I think in his mind, he's thinking, if we suck, if we, Abella Danger, suck to the highest levels, okay, that top tier level of suck, if we do that and we end up with a top 10 pick and we can position ourselves to get a Bryce Young or a CJ Stroud or a Will Levis or whoever is supposed to be the man, all right, Hayden Hooker, who cares? If we can do that, possibly we can lure Sean Payton back into the dome after his 1 year exodus, after his 1 year hiatus. Maybe we can lure him back into the dome with a fresh start, with a brand new quarterback, a brand new project. Maybe that's what he's thinking. And if that doesn't happen, if next year Sean Payton goes to the Dallas Cowboys, which 100% is happening unless Loomis can bring his ass back to the French Quarter, if Sean Payton goes to Dallas, I think then you will see the Saints say, all right, okay, we get it. Heartbreak, whatever, it sucks. But then they'll go out and find a new coach, a new coaching staff, and start this new cycle. So that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking long term. I had that epiphany today, and I'm pushing it out there into the universe. So with this game, to recap, I don't really care about the score. I don't expect the Saints to win this game. I think they're going to go over there. I think they're going to look inept. I think they're going to have trouble moving the football. I think you're going to see a lot of punts. I think you're going to see a lot of dump passes and super safe stuff, a lot of 3 and outs. And I think it's going to be a terrible morning. I would get the Irish coffees and the champagne and the Bloody Marys available. I would get them very close to you. I would get them around your radius. Okay, I wouldn't keep them too far out of arm's reach. Bloody Mary here, screwdriver there, bada bing, bada boom, French 75 to the dome. I'd have a lot of that going on. I think the Vikings win this game. In my mind's eye, I think. Let me say this. One thing that does give me a little bit of the heebie-jeebies, if you know what I mean. A little bit of the skitter scatter, a little hiding under my bed, scared to death, scared in my little pajamas. What the hell was I talking about? Is Kirk Cousins in prime time? All right, Kirk Cousins in prime time or out of his preferred game slot. All right, everyone who's anybody knows that Kirk Cousins only has one game slot that works for him. That's 12 o'clock. If he's outside of the 12 o'clock zone, he is shit. If he's in prime time, he's even worse. He's the most losingest quarterback, if that's a word, in prime time since he became a starter. I believe he's 6 or 7 games under 500, specifically in the primetime slot, and has lost more games in the primetime slot than any other quarterback since he became a starter, which was 2015. Also, I have no notes on this table. How the hell am I pulling out these numbers? How am I rattling this off in one take? How am I doing this? It's really unbelievable. Hit the subscribe button for more of this. Otherwise, go to ESPN and watch Michael Irvin and Stephen A. Smith. So I am worried that Kirk Cousins is so thrown off on this rhythm. I'm so worried about him not being home, flying overseas, not playing at the 12 o'clock schedule, body clock, all that stuff. I think Kirk Cousins could shit all down his leg 100%. Okay? I 100% could see Kirk Cousins having one of the worst games you've ever seen in your entire life, strictly because his schedule's messed up. So I am concerned about that. Going up against a really good defense, going up against a defense that specifically can take the ball away in the air with a really good secondary, I think that could be troublesome. And if Minnesota really is that bad at stopping the run and Kamara and Ingram can get going, that can keep the Saints in the game. So that does give me worry. That does give me worry. I'm not going to lie to anybody. But if that happens, it happens. And if I lose to Andy Dalton, I lose to Andy Dalton, and I'll be happy the Saints won. So I will say that. Note, people have asked how they're traveling. This is a fun little note I heard. The Saints went over, I believe, on Monday and spent the whole week in London. The Vikings left on Thursday night. So they left Minnesota Thursday night. They have a really cool plan. They're using blue lights to simulate different times on the plane. They're using an activation process, which is a fancy term for working out when they get there in the morning to get their body and their muscles acclimated to physical stress in that environment with the time changes and stuff. So they have a very interesting way of doing it. Their coach, it's like their medical strength coach or something. He came from the Rams. He has done this trip 4 times, and he's done it twice the week before and twice this way. He prefers this way. So it'll be interesting to note if we see anything with that, with the 2 different styles of doing this. That's another thing too. You know, people aren't talking about with Sean Payton gone. It's stuff like this. You know, I've talked about it here, but you know, Urban Meyer was so bad on long road games. I assume because he had trouble with the logistical side of things. You know, getting his team prepared while traveling over long distances. You know, all of a sudden, you have to know how to do walkthroughs in hotel lobbies and walkthroughs in ballrooms, and you know, everything's shifted. The closer you are to home, the less you have to think about. Bill Belichick's always been really, really good about that. He kind of pioneered practicing at altitude before a game in altitude. So I know they were supposed a while ago they were supposed to play in Mexico City, and he went and trained in Denver for the week before that, and it was one of those like cutting edge, he's always thinking ahead kind of thing. So can Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael and the staff of clowns and rejects that the Saints have, can they deal with this travel? Can they deal with a week in London? What are the players doing? Are they being, you know, what's their schedule look like? Are they just wilding out in London for a whole week? I would assume so. So we'll see what happens. Those are my projections and predictions, not to be confused with each other. They are very different. Again, I have the Vikings -3. That's the only ticket I have on the game. If I had to gun to my head, I would take the under, and I would look at Alvin Kamara's player props, specifically his receptions over. I would do that. Yeah, I mean, an 8:30 kick, terrible way to start your day. It's the Andy Dalton time. Another note from me, I'm just kind of rocking and rolling now. I'm sure no one's watching the video anymore. 17 minutes in, YouTube algorithms stand up. But I think it's weird that Jameis Winston is ruled out of this game with injured when he played last week injured. So that tells you that he was not healthy enough to play last week. And if that's the case, that is just more evidence that this coaching staff and the management side of the Saints right now is in complete shambles. So that's something else to think about. Why would he be okay to play last week but not this week? Makes no sense at all to me. If Dalton plays good in this game or wins the game, will we see Jameis Winston play again for the Saints? That's a real question, because if Dalton plays average to above average, it's hard for me to believe that they'll switch back to Jameis. So this could be the end for Jameis. I guess we will only see. Thank you for watching. I will see you after the Saints game. We will be reviewing all that stuff. And it was a great week of content. We had a video every day. We had our Lions video where I broke down Dan Campbell's decision making. It's over 1,000 views. So we're right back in the thick of it, man. We're pumping out videos left and right. We're back into a rhythm. This is working. We may try and sprinkle in live streams coming up to see how that goes. It's a pretty short window of time where I can kind of record and edit and all that stuff. So I'm not sure if the live streams would be good just yet, but maybe in the future. So I want to do some like prime time watch alongs where I stream during Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football and kind of track it, and we can watch it together, and I kind of break down the game as I'm watching it and what I'm looking for, tracking bets, tracking props, tracking all that stuff, and just kind of all 22 together. So thank you all for watching. See you in the next video.